Hey beautiful beings, thanks for tuning in. I wanted to do a video on a quote that I put up the other day. The quote was, "The egoic solution is often exactly the same as the cause." And I'd like to go into the depths of that and also a bit further into the ego itself. I find the ego is a particularly awesome part of the human experience. It's a construct and a projection between our outside world and our internal environment. What I see a lot of people get into the trap of is labeling that the ego is bad or disempowering or represents darkness or something they don't want. But I would prefer to strive for understanding the ego completely, or at least integrating that part of ourselves and seeing how it's serving us. So this is a lot like shadow work as well. We can't strive for avoiding our shadow or not looking at our darkness because we know that it just makes it grow. We strive for integrating our shadow so that we can become more whole. We look at our light aspects, which is often easier than looking at our dark aspects, but we integrate them so that we can come into wholeness. And what wholeness feels like is well-being. And it feels like authenticity, confidence, but also health and harmony and just daily contentment and sustainable energy systems. So in light of that, the ego is this amazing construct that greatly serves our human experience here. Without the ego, we would not relate and connect to each other in the same way, and we would not be able to form societies and tribes and that depth of connection in the same way. A lot of people have experienced or do welcome the experience of ego death. This often happens either with plant medicine use or psychedelics or maybe high meditative states. And that is a beautiful glimpse into when that veil or that projection melts away, we can find complete awareness and complete understanding of just how connected we are to everything and just how beautiful our souls are. But if we lived in that ego death place, we would find it extremely hard to be a part of a world where there's many humans collaborating and creating and forming tribes and communities, right? That would be a somewhat isolating experience. So our ego is the filter between the outside world and our internal environment, our soul. It represents a lot of the mind patterns that are keeping us safe. But it also is that way that we filter pure source soul energy and our external environment. So it makes our incarnation here, our experience, far more interesting and representing more evolution. Because we're not here to just understand that we are source and just sit back and hang out in nature, right? Although that's beautiful. We are here to learn, we're here to evolve, to heal parts of our personality, to work with others and be in deep relationship with everything in this realm and in this reality. So using that ego and understanding its purpose is part of the sense of calm that can come from integration. But we can also go one step further and understand deeply that we have the power to create, design, and upgrade our own ego construct. So that's our projection. With awareness and self-understanding, we realize we've actually got the creative potential to change a lot in our mind space, in our brains, in our networking, in our nervous system, in our body, in our organs. And once we start realizing that, the ego is up for grabs too. So I do that with a lot of my clients, and if you're interested in that process, please jump on my Patreon page. I'll be going a bit further in depth into how to actually start that upgrade. But for the purpose of this video, I wanted to delve into that quote, and let's just see if we can get a bigger understanding of what role our ego is playing in when we decide we have problems and then we solve them. So the ego is kept alive by being useful. So it's the egoic part of ourselves that identify problems. Again, if you're in an ego death situation or in a highly spirit-filled meditative place, you would realize that there's no problems. And we get glimpses of that when our brain waves change and we go into a beautiful state. And however you get there is your own journey. But we greatly understand that there's no problems. We're actually just part of this beautiful world, and everything's evolving at once and everything's happening around us, but not to us. So the ego identifies problems, and then the ego will be a massive part of the solution, therefore determining once again that it's useful, and we keep it around and we keep it alive, right? So when we are using the narratives involved in our solution, we can look back beyond the problem and see if that is the same as the cause, and have awareness around that maybe we could be choosing a different solution for the purpose of getting us out of a pattern, right? This understanding is the most beneficial when we apply it to long-term patterns. So let's use it in that context. For example, if you are registering loneliness in your body, and I think we all know what that feeling feels like, an egoic solution to loneliness is often, well, I need to go out there and make new friends, I need to find a partner, I need to go on all the dating apps, I need to go to more social engagements, I need to say yes to every party that comes up, so that I can try and remedy that loneliness. But when we look back towards the cause, and this is based on the understanding that we can feel lonely in a group of people, we can feel lonely in a crowd, we can feel lonely when we're in a tribe, when we're going through an experience that's bound with people. So we know that loneliness is an internal situation and is not directly related to how many or who is around us. So often that egoic solution tells me that that person's loneliness was probably caused by the same things. By trying too hard to connect with people, by being on dating apps and finding partners and working harder and realizing that it's all about other people, and if I just had the other people, I would feel okay within myself. So I know that they are reflecting the same situation. The egoic solution is probably the same as the cause. And I talked about in my video that my egoic solution to healing anemia was working harder, eating more meat, taking heaps of supplements, being really strict with myself, motivating, doing it every day, driving it up, forcing it. And then when I look back at the cause, it's probably that the stress was coming from me pushing myself too hard, working too hard, trying to conquer everything that related to my fear, and not just loving the fear and letting it melt away. So see if you can apply the same awareness to any long-term patterns that you have, and notice when your solutions are not really representing true healing or true solutions, which means the pattern goes away. Then see if you can see if that reflection is there. I guess what we're aiming for is when we're looking for a solution that is more attuned to the heart or the higher self or source energy, an intuitive solution, you're looking for a different style of voice that would come from a quiet, silent state, hopefully, that probably surprises you a little bit. Maybe something you've never heard or thought of before, and has a different frequency to it. More like a knowing, and something that comes in that doesn't excite your nervous system in the way that the problem has. I hope that makes sense. So find a quiet place, let your problem be sent out into nature or out towards spirit or source and see what you get back, rather than letting the mind think of things it's thought of before and applying that, and around the cycle we go. So I hope that makes sense, and if it resonates with any of you, then I'm so happy for that. If you want to go more in depth, I'll be having a discussion a bit further on my Patreon page, including the tips and tools to actually start that ego upgrade, plus some beautiful other conversations that we're having there. If you join the self-mastery tier of the Patreon page, I'm actually addressing those individuals' needs and concerns down to ailments, experiences, relationship stuff, self-development stuff, and we can look at it one-on-one, and we can all benefit from understanding what that person's going through and having that conversation. Patreon's a beautiful private platform, so only the people on your tier will actually see what's going on there. But I'm in direct contact with a few beautiful people that have joined up, and I am so eager and would love some more of you to be there too, if it resonates. So heaps of love. I hope you enjoyed that video, and thanks for letting me be vulnerable, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.